and welcome to the Ain't Nobody Got the Money for That guide to bullet journals. If you're unaware, bullet journals are journals with the little dots, but I will be using regular journals, aka the one with lines. And don't mind my messy-ish nails. It's finals week, so standards are dropping everywhere, and nobody got time for much of anything anymore. That being said, let's jump right into it. For 2019, I decided to do a theme for all the important people in my life when it was their birth month. And last month, I did cacti. This is my 77th journal, by the way, kind of a landmark for me. Cacti was for one of my best friends, Allie. Hi, Allie! And this month, I did the Roman Empire for my brother. As you can tell, I filmed this on a different date by the sad state of my nails. And I was also the one who set up the camera, and that's why we have these awkward borders. Sorry about that. I already had everything penciled out, so I start with the laurels that the ancient Roman emperors and generals used to wear when they were victorious. I went with the color purple for the word May, since that's the color of power, since the dye was so hard to get back then. I used red and gold, which are the Legion colors. I write SPQR, which basically means the Senate and People of Rome, according to my local history buff, aka my brother. I erase the pencil marks and tape it in my journal. I printed off a small picture of the Colosseum and started coloring it in. I didn't color in all the windows since I'm going to use it for my progress tracker. Most people call this a habit tracker, but I don't like the idea of being a creature of habit, though I am one. But I do like the idea of being a creature of progress. I do something similar with the amphitheater. Then I used a piece of paper that I cut to size to make my layout for my progress tracker page, using the color scheme of the Roman Empire. As you can tell with my Save the Book progress tracker, I use simple pictures for my weekly trackers. Since I'm a writer, I do need to regularly save the progress and back up my file just in case my flash drive gives up on me and dies. I use the Pantheon for my reading tracker. Then I draw in a tiny bookshelf where other things that I need to finish but I have temporarily set to the side will be. And then my cat walks across my desk. Hi, Delilah! I go back and make the book titles darker so that I can read them. I add more laurels up top so then it doesn't look dull. Then I finally came up with an idea for the artsy tracker. I drew the murdered Julius Caesar and a few of his murderers around him. The plan is to color in the murderers once I do something artsy for the week. I tape it in my journal and get right to my schedule for the week. I have lots of projects planned for May, so I need to make sure that I'm on track. I just make space for the hours between 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., since that's probably when I'm going to be awake. Then I do a calendar, so I can see my whole month. And as you see, I accidentally drew boxes for the last 2 days of April. I had also meant to write the numbers in purple, but I think the gold works out well. I erased the pencil marks. Sorry if the journal flipping makes any of you nauseous. I skip over the number 24, so I had to go back and white out, then rewrite the numbers after that. But bullet journals are accepting of mistakes, right? Right. I printed out the different symbols of the Roman gods and taped them in. I kind of wish I had drew them out, but oh well, too late to change it now. For the 2 empty boxes, I just drew some more laurels and wrote a quote from Caesar, "The die is cast." I also wrote some battles that he fought in. Next is my monthly to-do and upcoming dates page. I just taped in the Latin alphabet, so it wasn't dull. I move on to my writing to-do page and tape in a picture of the tablets that the ancient Romans used to write on. I make a daily word count, taping in pictures of the writing tools that the Romans used. I decided that I didn't like the gold and red, so I redo the word count in gold, then number it. I then start on my food tracker. I wrote abbreviations for breakfast, dinner, otherwise known as lunch, supper, and snack. I tape in pictures of my brother's favorite legion, and a picture of who I thought was Titus Livius. Wait, hold on.
Titus Labius.
Yeah, that guy. But this picture is actually Julius Caesar, which is funny because Titus betrayed Caesar, and then Caesar nearly erased him from history. Sorry for the camera nearly falling and then being adjusted. I set to work on my sleeping tracker, which you may have gotten a peek at from before because I did my pages in the order of which I got the ideas for them, and not in their actual order. I opt for alternating colors. I'm sure Lucius is actually Lucius. Next is my gratitude journal for the month, which I call Fortuna's Favor, after the Roman goddess Fortuna, who I tape in there. And my tripod lake makes an appearance. I make a gift idea page for upcoming birthdays in the next month, and I leave room for what I actually get them. I start to outline a Roman bow for my next page, though I will point out that I drew the bow backwards. The arrow is supposed to go the other way. Right now, the archer has the arrow pointed at themselves. And you see Delilah make another appearance! I named the page Draw, Aim, and Loose. And this is where I'm going to write down all my frustrations that I need to just let go. Last month, I named it Step on a Cactus. Then I added some arrows that were already shot, because shots fired. For my perceived expenses page, I write down what I expect to buy throughout the month and the last month's budget so that I can make sure that I'm spending my earnings wisely. I add a gold coin to both this page and the spending tracker page. For my gift card page in Cash Tracker, I wrote the Roman saying, "The victor is not victorious if the vanquished does not consider himself so." I always make an ideas for next month page. I try to use the color scheme for Venus, who I tape in there. I also make a measure up section so I can track the measurements with what I'm eating. I then make a New Year's resolution page because by this time of year I normally forget what I set out to do. I tape in a picture of
Suetonius Paulinus.
Along with the resolutions, I made goals for 2019. I make a page to remind me of them. I tape in the coin of
Septimius Oda Anathus.
And we're done! I really liked how this turned out. The only thing that I may have done differently was add a background cover to my intro page. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do about the Save the Book tracker and the reading tracker. And drawing Julius Caesar's murder actually made my brother a little bit sad because he really likes him. I may have drawn the shelf a little bit smaller so that I don't have this extra space. Next time, I think I'm going to consider doing my schedule in an Excel because this was just a lot with trying to get all the spacing down. As I mentioned before, I wish I would have drawn out the little god symbols and perhaps found art of the battles to draw them in the background, and maybe drew little laurels around the M to make it look like it was wearing it, as if May is a victorious month. Perhaps I should have drawn out the Latin alphabet, but nobody has time for that. And I don't really have much to say about the writing page. Having the gold over the red kind of looks like the gold is bleeding, but other than that, I'm pretty happy with this page. And for the food tracker, perhaps writing the numbers in the gold Sharpie was not the best idea because they all kind of look blobby. And I don't know if you can tell, but I kind of gave up on making my letters look fancy when I wrote food tracker. I skipped all the pages because that was a lot. I'm not quite sure if I should black out Julius Caesar's face so then Titus can have some justice, but I might do that throughout the month. I really do like how my sleeping tracker turned out, and I really hope that I remember to use it this month because I frequently forget. The only thing that I would have done differently for this page is probably look up Fortuna if she had like color schemes and use those colors instead. But I think I did pretty well with the silver and gold Sharpies to represent the coins that the Romans would have used, and the purple to represent power, because unfortunately rich people are powerful people, for the better or for the worse. For this page, I probably would have just looked up to see if the Romans gave out certain gifts on certain celebrations or occasions, and then maybe looked up a different color scheme so I wasn't repeating myself so much. As I mentioned before, I drew the arrow backwards, and perhaps I should have drawn these arrows a little bit smaller so then it wouldn't mess with the writing too much, but I think that they'll look pretty good as a background. And for this page, it's going to be a surprise for me and you because I may or may not have forgotten about it or skipped over it when I was doing my reading journal. I like how these two pages turned out. I think the gold coin makes everything pop, and I really like how I used the gold and silver. The only thing I may have done differently is write gift card in gold instead of red, and then maybe wrote Roman common saying under my quotes. And perhaps I should have put Venus a little bit more to the side instead of the middle, but it's done now. What is this whiteout, you say? Well, I misspelled resolutions, but I caught it, and that's really all that matters. I really like this page. And I guess I should have mentioned that I didn't write down my resolutions or 2019 goals or life goals because I just don't think that we are that close yet. And also, this month is in the middle of a journal for me. So yeah, that's my actual writing that I have sticky notes covering up. And that's my main journal. Thanks so much for watching, guys. And remember, always find an excuse to write.